Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NBA DraftKings slate on August 6th. Today we got a nice 5-game little slate starting at 4 o'clock p.m. Should be a fun one. Looks like we got some good games to watch, like Milwaukee, Miami should be a fun game to watch. We'll talk about the Lakers-Rockets game as well. There's some good DraftKings plays today. But before I get into all of that, make sure to leave a like on the channel, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, leave a comment. All those things really help me grow the channel. We've had some good growth through NASCAR season, and NBA starting, and we've had some good growth through there as well. NFL is coming up, NCAA football is coming up, NCAA basketball is coming up. I'm going to be making content for all those sports. So if you're interested in all those sports, make sure to stick around. If you want more of my content, you can subscribe to my Patreon. It's only $10 a month, where you're going to get a cheat sheet and projections for DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, SuperDraft, and Fantasy Draft for NBA, along with every day an article, salary tier rankings, and a cash core 4 every single day. You'll get all of those. And then I also have a NASCAR tier up right now. It's $10 a month for basically the same thing, for all 3 NASCAR series: Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series. So if you're into that as well, make sure to check that one out too. If you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter is at DFSNateLane, and my Instagram is at NateLane_. I'm really active over there, just talking about sports in general, like talking about fantasy sports, DFS, just sports, football, basketball, baseball, NASCAR, basically everything. If you have any questions for me over there about DFS or fantasy sports or anything, you can ask me over there as well. I will be always willing to answer. So yeah, make sure to hit me and follow over there. And I think that's all I got to say. So now we're going to get into the video, and we're going to start with the injuries today. It's pretty decent amount of injuries on the slate today. Some pretty important ones. I mean, right off the bat, Jimmy Butler's out for the Miami Heat, and I mean, that is a big injury. I mean, he is probably their best player. If you want to say Bam is, that's fine, but one of their 2 best players, high usage player as well, and he is out. So we saw Kelly Olynyk get the start the other day in Boston, and I assume that's going to happen again. I don't see why anything would change, especially when they're playing a bigger team in Milwaukee anyway. And Bam Adebayo matches up really well for Giannis. He actually probably is the best matchup for Giannis in the entire NBA. We've seen Miami give Milwaukee some trouble this year. But yeah, I think Kelly Olynyk starts again. We'll probably see for around 30 minutes. And this also affects Andre Iguodala and Goran Dragic. Just some more usage for Goran Dragic, along with a little more minutes, and some more minutes for Andre Iguodala. But then Goran Dragic is also questionable for the Miami Heat. And honestly, I don't really think he's going to play. Right now, in my projections, I have him in. But in my opinion, I don't think Goran Dragic is going to play. He sprained his ankle. It looked like he was a good amount of pain. And I mean, these games, you just don't want to risk getting anything worse. I don't see the reason for him playing. I mean, this is an important game, but it's not more important than the playoffs. So I don't think Goran Dragic personally is going to play, but I could be wrong. If he does not play, that'll give Kendrick Nunn way more minutes at point guard, and Tyler Hero will probably take a lot of Dragic's minutes off the bench. So both those two will end up being very good plays, and I expect especially Hero to be chalky at that point. But yeah, those are the guys who are going to Goran Dragic's injury is going to affect. Next, we have Brook Lopez for the Milwaukee Bucks, who is questionable. He got ruled out very late last game, like right before the game started. And honestly, I think he'll play today. I don't think his injury is that bad. It was just being precautionary. But if Brook Lopez is to miss, Robin Lopez will more than likely get the start. But that also affects Ersan Ilyasova, as he will get some more minutes off the bench. Lopez and Ilyasova will get more big minutes. And then Chris Middleton gets a nice little usage bump with Brook Lopez off the floor as well. So make sure to look out for Brook Lopez. Wesley Matthews is also questionable. And if Wesley Matthews misses, we're probably going to get either George Hill or Dante DiVincenzo in the starting lineup. And then Kyle Korver and Pat Connaughton will get a little bit of a minutes bump off the bench. Domantas Sabonis is ruled out for Indiana. He's been out the whole bubble. I don't really know when he's coming back, but that does affect some usage for TJ Warren. It gets a big usage bump for Miles Turner and more center minutes for Miles Turner, and a nice usage bump for Malcolm Brogdon, as well as I didn't put that down, but Jakar Sampson will get some more minutes in the backup center role. Next, Malcolm Brogdon is questionable, and if he misses today, Justin Holiday will more than likely start. This will also free us more minutes for TJ McConnell and some more usage for TJ Warren. Goga Batadze is questionable as well. Again, he's been questionable the whole bubble, and I mean that just gives some minutes. Jakar Sampson gets his backup center minutes instead. Really not a big one. Like, I don't want to play Jakar Sampson if this is what you're looking at that for, but he's out, or he's questionable, so I have to put it on there. Kelly Oubre is doubtful for the Phoenix Suns. He has missed every game in the bubble, and that gives some more usage to Ricky Rubio and Devin Booker. I didn't put Cam Johnson on there. I don't know why, but Cam Johnson starts in his place, so Cam Johnson is very affected by him as well. Aaron Baines is out as well for Phoenix. Frank Kaminsky gets his backup center minutes, and Dario Saric also gets a little bit, but the main beneficiary is Frank Kaminsky. Montrezl Harrell for LA Clippers is out, and this affects Ivica Zubac, just giving him more minutes at the center. This gives JaMychal Green more minutes off the bench, as well as a little bit of a usage bump for JaMychal Green without Harrell, and then Patrick Patterson gets some more minutes. Patrick Beverley is also out for the LA Clippers. Reggie Jackson will get the start and play probably roughly around 30 minutes for Pat Bev, so that's a pretty important one. Lou Will, in his second game back, we'll probably see more minutes at this point too with Patrick Beverley out because they just need him to play more minutes. And then Paul George sees a nice bump in assist percentage with Patrick Beverley out. He's really playing a lot of point guard then, so I like Paul George as a beneficiary of Pat Beverley. Seth Curry is doubtful. JJ Barea got to start last game, I believe. Barea, Wright, and Burke will all just see a little bump in minutes with Seth Curry off the floor. Jamal Murray, Barton, and Harris continue to be out for Denver. They've been out the entire bubble. Jamal Murray being absent affects Monty Morris, who will get to start in his place. Nicole Yokic gets a nice usage bump, as well as Paul Millsap. Will Barton being out affects Monty. Will Barton is usually the backup point guard when Jamal Murray's out, but Will Barton's out too, so that does also affect Monty Morris, allows him to start as well. And then Michael Porter is starting in his place. Gary Harris also out, and that Torrey Craig will start in his place. We have Dwight Howard out for the LA Lakers, which just gives some more minutes to JaVale McGee and a little bit more to Anthony Davis, but I don't know if today that's really going to be as big of a deal because they're playing the Rockets. But yeah, JaVale McGee's the main beneficiary from Dwight Howard being out. Rajon Rondo continues to be out for the LA Lakers. LeBron James gets the ball in his hands more, and we get more minutes for Alex Caruso. Avery Bradley continues to be out, or he is out for the entire bubble. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope just gets some more minutes, a little bit more usage with Avery Bradley off the floor. The big one for today, though, is Russell Westbrook, and this is the last game of the night, so that makes everything even more tough. Russell Westbrook's questionable today, and if Russell Westbrook misses, James Harden just gets a massive usage bump. I mean, his usage percentage is ridiculously high, and you want to get as much James Harden at that point as possible. But the problem is we're probably not going to know if Russell Westbrook's playing until about 6 o'clock, 6:30, maybe even 7, 8, 9. So, yeah, that's going to be a big news one to pay attention to all day long. But, yeah, if Russell Westbrook misses, Harden's just massive usage bump. And then Eric Gordon's also out for the Houston Rockets. Ben McLemore sees some more minutes along with Austin Rivers. But that's pretty much it for the injuries and who they affect. Now I'm going to get into my favorite plays of the day, if it will load. Luka Doncic. We're going to start out with the Dallas Mavericks players that I'm interested in. Luka Doncic is right off the top of the board. And Luka Doncic has just been insane, averaging plus 60 points per DraftKings game so far since the bubble restarted. And he put up an insane 30, 20, 10 game the other day against Phoenix or Sacramento against Sacramento. So yeah, Luka Doncic has been great. They do play the LA Clippers here. He's 11,300, a combo point guard. He's been playing in the upper 30 minutes. I mean, he played 44 last game. I don't have him projected for that again, but I do have him projected for 39 right now. No little nice usage bumps for Luka Doncic today. I mean, Curry's out, but it doesn't affect anything. He does have 2 negative matchups against the combo and point guard against the LA Clippers. They are a tough defense, so that's a little bit of an issue. And then we come to it is a little bit of a pace-up spot for the Dallas Mavericks, which is nice to see. So Luka Doncic is going to get about 2 more possessions per this game. So yeah, I do like Luka Doncic today for the pace-up spot, and the team line is a nice little the total line's a nice little bump for Dallas as well. So I do like Luka today. I think he just has a ton of upside. He has been doing absolutely everything for this Mavericks team. He honestly maybe has been the best players in the bubble so far. I mean, he's just, the way he's performed is absolutely insane. I'm not saying he is the best player, but out of the games we've played, Luka Doncic has been the best player. He's just been dominating, and I expect him to do nothing less. I expect that usage rate to just continue to just skyrocket. So yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr. I also like it for Dallas. This is someone I'm really not like, he's not like a core play for me, but if I'm making a ton of GPP lineups, I just want to send him in there just because he's been playing a ton of minutes. He's been playing around 40 minutes too. Right now I have him projected for 38, and at 5,900 of 38 minutes, that's valuable, but I wouldn't he's not a high point per minute guy, as you see. He's not a high usage player. I don't think Hardaway is like a lock by any means, but if you're making a ton of lineups, I do want a little bit of Tim Hardaway Jr. in them. He projects out as a nice little value right now just because of how many minutes he's playing. I mean, if he gets 38 minutes again, man, that's going to be something. But, I mean, he's been playing close to it every single game. He had 40-plus last game. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why he can't have those kind of minutes again today. I do like Tim Hardaway. Kristaps Porzingis at 8,500. This is one that's more matchup-based. He's going to play a ton of minutes, but the Clippers aren't really good against bigs at all. If we go look at defense versus position, the Clippers are allowing 2 more points than average to bigs on the season, and Kristaps Porzingis is a big guy. So 7'3", he doesn't always play center, he plays some power forward, but he's still just a big player out there. They're going to have Vika Zubac is not going to be able to control him. So I think Porzingis actually is a good play, and he's not 9K anymore. He's back down to 8,500, which I do like. I think Porzingis might actually go a little under-owned today, which could make him an even better play in my opinion. So yeah, I do like Kristaps Porzingis a lot today. I mean, Porzingis has a ton of upside anyway, and I love the matchup for him. I mean, it's always the one matchup I like to go to against the Clippers is the bigs, and this is somewhere I'm going to continue to attack at. Up next, we're going to go to the Denver Nuggets players I like, and Jeremy Grant we're going to start out with at 4,300. Jeremy Grant's just too cheap. He's been playing 34 minutes a game since the bubble came back. I mean, he's going to play in the upper 30s. With all the guys injured, it's just giving him some extra minutes. I mean, he put Porter at 3, Grant to 4 a lot, and him and Millsap, splitting minutes sometimes. Some games Grant's getting more, some games Millsap's getting more. But Jeremy Grant, I mean, just at 4,300, it's just too cheap for a guy that's going to play that much minutes. And against Portland, who's really just not a good defense. I mean, if we want to go look at all their defensive statistics, he has a positive matchup against forwards. And then we go look at the pace. It's a pace-up spot for the Denver Nuggets of about 3 possessions per game. And then we go look at the Vegas lines, which it doesn't reflect a great number right now, but that number is going to come up for sure. We saw it yesterday at the Spurs-Nuggets game. It came up a lot, so I expect. I don't know why the Nuggets lines always start out so low, but it will come up for sure, especially against Portland, who's just a fast-paced, not so great defensive team. So yeah, I do like Jeremy Grant a lot. I mean, he's just, for that price with those minutes, I know he's not going to start, and that's going to make people not want to play him, and it's done it every single day. He doesn't start, so people don't want to play him, but he's still playing 34 minutes. I mean, he's played 34 minutes each of the last 2 games. I don't see any reason why that's going to change. It's a team that matches up well for a guy like Jeremy Grant. He's a forward that's mobile, and you need that against Portland because they run out a lot of sets of Lillard, Trent, McCollum, Melo, and Nurkic. So Melo's a 4, but he's like a mobile 4. He's not just like a big guy. He's just clogging up the lane and stuff. So Jeremy Grant fits this matchup well. I like him today. I think he has upside. He's a higher point per minute player. So I think Jeremy Grant is a solid play. Nicole Yokic is another guy I'm very interested in. Again, I'm pretty much interested in Nicole Yokic every day. And for whatever reason, Nicole Yokic seems to just suck in the first half of every single game. And in the second half, he just turns it on. And all of a sudden, I look at my DraftKings line, he's at 65 points. So I don't know why he's doing that. It stresses me out during the games, but that's fine. Nicole Yokic is 9,500 again in a up-paced game. I'm pretty sure he has a solid matchup here. Well, he does have a positive matchup on the year of 3 more points than average to bigs on the year, but that's because Hassan Whiteside's been playing center all year. I will say that. Nurkic is back, and Nurkic is so much better than Hassan Whiteside. It's not even funny. If you wanted to call Yusuf Nurkic a top 5 center in the NBA, I would not say, oh, you're crazy for that. He's not on my list, but he's probably about around 7. I mean, Nurkic is really, really good, and he's a good defender as well, and he's a good matchup for Jokic. And let's not forget that Nurkic was on this team until Jokic came and took his spot. So I do like Nicole Yokic today. It's just matchup may not be as good as it does look on paper based on the year, just because of how good Yusuf Nurkic actually is, who's going to be guarding Nicole Jokic the whole game. It's actually going to be a really good matchup between these two. I'm looking forward to watching that. But yeah, I do like Nicole Jokic still. He's in an up-tempo game. He's got a nice usage bump with Jamal Murray off the floor. In fact, let's go look at that. He's got a usage bump of about 4% with Jamal Murray off the floor, and an assist rate bump of about 3% when Jamal Murray's off the floor. So he's just the main guy. I mean, he always is the main guy, but he's really the main guy now, except for maybe Michael Porter Jr. has been balling out recently. But yeah, Nicole Jokic, I just expect a good game from him against a good matchup. Paul Millsap's 5,300. He's just too cheap again. I mean, he's playing. I mean, one game we saw him play 17 minutes, but I don't expect that. Right now, I have him at 29. I mean, someone's going to play between 25 and 33 minutes every game, and he's just too cheap. And he actually has a nice usage bump with about 6% with Jamal Murray off the floor. Yeah, 6% Jamal Murray off the floor, and an assist rate bump of 4% Jamal Murray off the floor. I think that's interesting that out of all the guys, Paul Millsap's the one that Jamal Murray affects the most. But it's still Paul Millsap. You're not expecting a massive ceiling game. I think he's good for cash, but I don't want to play a ton of him in GPPs just because I know the ceiling is really not there as much as other guys I can get to. I'd rather just play Jeremy Grant for $100 less, who can score the same amount of points as Paul Millsap does, maybe even more, and he's going to pay off that salary way more and be way more valuable. So Millsap's fine. He's just a solid play pretty much every day, especially in a good matchup against Portland, but it's just not something I completely want to lock in. Up next is Michael Porter Jr. He is 6,400 still. After back-to-back 40-plus games on DraftKings, he is still 6,400. And he's going to get the minutes. He played 44 last game. Right now I have him projected for 38. They're just letting him fly, which finally, man, I think everyone's just wanting to see Michael Porter Jr. just get the time. And, man, is he living up to the hype, bro. What a good player. What a freaking steal in the draft. I mean, all those teams from 7 to 14 that didn't pick Michael Porter Jr., outside the Clippers taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, are just, I mean, come on, man. Seriously, I just don't get it. As a Hornets fan, I was still mad I picked Miles Bridges over him. I was mad draft night, and I'm still mad about it. But anyway, besides the fact, Michael Porter Jr. is only 6,400 still. I'm really worried he's going to get popular today, just because people have seen the way he's been playing recently, and they see that he was priced at 6,300 yesterday, and they're going to be like, oh, I mean, Michael Porter Jr. In theory, he may be in a better matchup. They're about the same, Portland and San Antonio, but yeah, I mean, so I'm a little worried he gets really popular. If Michael Porter Jr. starts getting really popular, that's where I'm going to look to go away from him. But if he's not again, I'm going to just go for it again with Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he's got a good matchup. When we look at his matchup against forwards and wings, it is a positive matchup against forwards, just a little bit of a negative matchup against wings, but like by 0.4, so that's not really that big of a deal in my opinion. A 0.4 negative matchup isn't really anything. We already talked about how the pace-up spot for Portland's really good here, or for Denver's really good here against Portland, so yeah, I think Michael Porter Jr. is a very, very good option today. It's just, for me, personally, like if I'm playing cash, I'm locking in Porter. I think he's just too cheap, honestly. Again, like I said yesterday, he's a upper 7K to 8K player at his ceiling, and he hit his ceiling yesterday, and we saw that. Like 53, I think, is what he ended up with, and yeah, that's an 8K player. So, yeah, Michael Porter Jr., if he hits that ceiling again, I mean, it's just going to be an absolute smash play. But yeah, again, if he's getting really popular, I'm going to look to avoid him a little bit, I think, just because we've seen Chalk Michael Porter Jr. not really do so great, and I think there's other guys that have just as much of like a floor and a ceiling as Porter. And I mean, I don't think you have to play him on this slate. I think he is a very good play, but I don't think you have to play him by any means. Up next, you have James Harden. And James Harden, for me, this is only if Russell Westbrook is out. He gets like a 7% usage bump with Russell Westbrook off the floor, and it goes to like 40-something%. It's insane. Like he's just, when Russell Westbrook's not there, Harden does everything. And I know it's against the Lakers, and I think people are going to be scared of Harden all day because he is playing against the Lakers. But he's only 10,700 now. He's not in the 11K range anymore, so even that's just like a good price for James Harden. And if Westbrook misses, he's just a great play. The problem is that's the last game of the night, and I don't know when we're going to know when Russell Westbrook is playing or not. Like we could know at 4 o'clock. We could also know at 8 if Russell Westbrook's in or out. So that's a problem for me, but that's going to just give an even bigger edge if you're on your game when Russell Westbrook gets ruled out, or if he gets ruled out. The problem is that's going to be hard to find a way to fit James Harden depending on the time of the day, but I'm going to try to do as much as I can, get as much Harden in as I can, because his usage rate is just going to shoot through the roof, and I think people still won't be able to really get to him just because of when the news was announced and everything. But if Russell Westbrook plays, Harden is really not someone I'm too interested in. Honestly, that game as a whole, I'm not too interested in, and we'll talk about that more when I get to the LA Lakers. Which I think is going to be a differentiation, because I think a lot of people are going to be on Bron and AD today. But I think that is a way to get different, is to not be on them. Up next, I'm going to go to Malcolm Brogdon, Indiana Pacers. He finally got a price bump to 6,800, and hopefully that's going to keep people off of him, but I don't really care. Phoenix is bad against point guards. They're really bad on defense everywhere. Team I've liked to go after all year on defense. When it comes to, I don't know if that's combo or point. Let's see. When it comes to point guards, the Phoenix Suns have 4 more points than average to opposing point guards this year. That's really bad. I'm pretty sure they're bottom of the league against point guards. So yeah, Brogdon looks fine to me, 6,800. It's going to be an up-tempo game for Indiana as well. They're gonna be about 3 more possessions than on average. So nice pace-up spot for Indiana. I like Brogdon. I think he's a good play with no Sabonis. He gets a nice assist rate bump. I mean, as people don't really notice, but Domantas Sabonis is like one of the best passing bigs in the league, and that's what makes him so dangerous. But yeah, so Malcolm Brogdon without Sabonis gets a nice assist rate bump, so I do like Brogdon a good bit here. Miles Turner, Brogdon might miss, by the way. He's questionable, so don't just lock in Malcolm Brogdon, then don't look at your lineup, because he might miss today. So make sure to keep up on that news. Miles Turner with Sabonis out again. It's just, I mean, I keep saying this every video, and he still hasn't just gone off yet, but he gets a nice usage bump, about 6 or 7% without Domantas Sabonis on the floor. Yeah, about 7% without Sabonis on the floor. And today we're playing not Miami. Why did I say Miami? Today they're playing Phoenix, and DeAndre Ayton is just bad defender. I mean, he's not terrible, but he's just not a great defender. He does have a nice 1 more point than average positive matchup against Phoenix. So, yeah, I do like Miles Turner here. I think he's a good play. It's only 6,200. I mean, he's probably priced at what he should be, but, I mean, if he hits his ceiling, he's going to be a really good play. And this is someone I'm talking getting off the chalk of Michael Porter Jr. if that happens, is someone pivoting to someone like Miles Turner. Up next is freaking bubble, TJ Warren, the best player in the NBA. I cannot believe I said that, but yeah, TJ Warren's the best player in the NBA. He's 8,400. TJ Warren's 8,400. I can't believe I'm saying that, and I'm still interested because he has been absolutely insane, averaging 30 points per game in the 3 games that he's played, and it's against like good defenses, like he did against Orlando, one of the best defenses in the entire NBA. So yeah, I'm still interested in going back to TJ Warren. Phoenix, again, like we just said, is a pace-up spot. Not a great defense or by any means. He has a positive matchup against both forwards and wings. So, yeah, I think T.J. Warren is just absolutely still in play. I know it's going to come down to earth these 30-point games eventually. Like, there's no way he just keeps this up. Or maybe T.J. Warren wins freaking Finals MVP and he takes them all away. But, hey, TJ Warren's looked really good, and I don't want to like just fade off that hot hand, especially if he's not getting ownership. And at that 8,400 price tag, I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership because people are gonna think he's too expensive. Which I mean, he probably is too expensive, but if he keeps producing like he has been, he's not too expensive. So I think TJ Warren is actually a fine GPP option. If for some reason people just get really popular, if he gets really popular, I may start to avoid him. But if he's not, I'm still interested in going to him. I mean, he still is projecting out as a nice value, just because of the matchup and the minutes he's been getting. I mean, I have him right now projected for 38 minutes. He's seen anywhere between like 35 to 40 every single game right now. So I think he had 41 one game. So yeah, I think TJ Warren's fine. Up next we have Paul George for the LA Clippers against the Dallas Mavericks. And Paul George is only 7,800. He's still too cheap, man. I mean, he let us down against Phoenix the other day, did not have a good game. But Dallas is just another team who's just been letting up a ton of points, especially since the bubble started. They're not a good defensive team. And without Patrick Beverley on the floor, Paul George gets a nice usage bump and assist rate bump, so that is someone I'm looking to go after just because of that little metric right there. We're going to see the ball in his hands a lot more, probably playing a little bit more point guard than usual. He does have a positive matchup against both forwards and wings, so yeah, Paul George looks pretty solid at the matchup positions. When we come to pace up, it is a little bit of a pace down spot for Dallas, but defensively Dallas is not good, so I do like Paul George here. I think it's just too cheap for what he does on the floor, his usage and everything. I'll be looking to go to Paul George again. JaMychal Green, only 3,700, projects as a nice value. Again, not someone I really want to go to in GBPs too much, but a nice value for cash. He's just going to play about 20 to 25 minutes, probably a little more, probably more like 23 to 27 minutes. He can get out there and shoot threes, and Dallas isn't like a good defense. Kawhi Leonard, 8,700. I think Kawhi Leonard's good. I'd rather go to Paul George. But I do think if Paul George ends up getting the more ownership, Kawhi Leonard might be the play to go to here. And every single day, I think Paul George is going to get more ownership than Kawhi. Kawhi ends up getting more, so I end up playing Paul George. And honestly, both of them always kind of let me down. I don't know how much of a ceiling these guys really have, and I'd rather play guys like Luka, but like the price is so cheaper on these guys. And like Kawhi Leonard's only 8,700. Like you don't see that too often. And like I know once the playoffs start, Kawhi Leonard after a few games is going to be in the 10,500 range. So like I know that he's gonna. Like, he's a good enough player to get all that up, and, like, the defense is not good for Dallas, so I think Kawhi's fine, but I don't know how truly excited I am about these guys, but they do look good on paper. Up next is Lou Williams, and he's just too cheap at 5,000. It's his second game back, and I know, like, they're probably thinking they got to ease him in, but Patrick Beverley's out today, so I think Lou Will is going to have to get some more minutes than usual, and at 5,000, that's something I want to attack against a Dallas team that isn't really good against guards or anything, so I want to attack that matchup here for Lou Will at just 5,000. He's like a 6,800 or 6,000 player, not a 5,000 player, and I like that little value there. If he gets the minutes, he's going to be good. All right, here's the game that I think I'm most interested in. Interested in like fading, which is surprising because like Lakers Rockets like regular season normally I'm like, oh my god, Anthony Davis is going to dominate against the Rockets, and he has all year. And I don't see any reason that doesn't change outside the fact that I think the Lakers, I mean, we saw it against OKC yesterday. I mean, they've clinched a 1 seed. I think they're just sort of cruising to the end of the bubble to the playoffs. So I don't know how much they're really pushing it, and I don't really know how much I want to play like a LeBron James who's not pushing it. I think Anthony Davis is a little bit better because I don't think he's going to slow down as much, and no one can guard. No one's guarding Anthony Davis on the Rockets. I mean, come on, who's guarding him? Robert Covington, PJ Tucker? No one's guarding Anthony Davis. I mean, we saw Giannis the other day. I mean, just dominated, at least on a point per minute basis. Didn't do good enough for them to win the game, but as on a DraftKings point per basis, I mean, yeah, Giannis was great, and I expect the same thing Anthony Davis. We saw Anthony Davis absolutely torch them earlier this year when they went back to small ball without Clint Capella. So I think Davis is a good play, but I'm still just a little bit worried about the fact that the Lakers may not be motivated, may not be trying as hard. I mean, just lost by 30 to the OKC Thunder yesterday, and it didn't even look like LeBron was trying. So I'd rather play Davis and LeBron, but they both are in a fantastic matchup, a fantastic pace-up spot, terrible defense for Houston. I mean, Houston's just like a dream matchup for like bigger players that are mobile, and those two are bigger players that are mobile. So, I mean, if you want to go for them, then you can, and I expect them to be pretty popular because people know that. But if LeBron James starts getting like chalky, and Anthony Davis, I'm gonna look elsewhere because I think it is worthwhile that they could just not try that hard and only not really play a ton of minutes. Up next, we got the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. He doesn't project out the best, but this is a matchup where Bam Adebayo has excelled at all year. He has just been, he's been the Giannis stopper this year. I mean, I can't believe it's Bam Adebayo, but yeah, I mean, he's been great this year. And at 7,700, he's someone I'm willing to pay for. He's going to get in the upper 30 minutes, and probably even more because they're going to need him to guard Giannis this game. The matchup isn't great. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it is great. They're really good against bigs. What's his name? Brook Lopez has been shut down this year, and I mean, if he gets Giannis, it's even worse. So, that's gonna be a tough matchup for Bam, but he's gonna be out there a ton of minutes. I expect him getting more than like what he's been on average in the bubble. So I think he is a very good play. I mean, Jimmy Butler is out. He doesn't get a really huge usage bump with Butler off the floor, but maybe in this game he does. So I do like Bam Adebayo a good bit. Tyler Hero is really more for if Dragic misses. If Goran Dragic is out today, I do want to fire up Tyler Hero, and I expect him to be chalky, but I mean, I usually like fading the chalk that's really cheap, but I think I like Tyler Hero anyway today, just because Milwaukee allows the most 3-pointers per game in the NBA, and that's pretty much Tyler Hero's game. So I mean, that's the main part of Tyler Hero's game. That's not all he can do, but he's a really good he's a good young player, but he does 3-point shooting is a big thing for Tyler Hero. So I think that that upside just from that matchup matters. I hope Goran Dragic gets like ruled out like 10 minutes before the game, so I can just fire up Tyler Hero without anybody just getting super chalky on him. We'll see what happens. But if Dragic plays, I'm not too excited about Hero. I think he still is a decent option just because of that 3-point shooting thing, and if he gets hot, he'll be on the floor. And I would want to play him a little bit, but I'm not going to like want to fire him up a ton. Andre Iguodala at 3,300, another one if Dragic misses with Butler out. He's just too cheap, and he's going to play in about the 20 to 30 minute range right now. He played 31 last game. I don't know if he'll do that again, but at 3,300, with that kind of minutes, he's going to pay off that price tag. And then I'm interested in going back to Kelly Olynyk again. I mean, he's been just great since the bubble started. I mean, Kelly Olynyk out of nowhere is playing the best basketball of his career. Started when Jimmy Butler was out last game, so I expect him to start again. Yeah, he's 4,800 now. He's got a $1,000 price jump, but that's okay. I mean, it is a tough matchup against bigs, and I think he is going to have to be out there because especially if Brook Lopez plays, like this is a game where they're going to want Bam on Giannis, so they're going to have to put another big guy on Brook Lopez for the most part, and that's probably going to be Kelly Olynyk. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Myers Leonard. It's definitely not going to be Chris Silva, so and it's definitely not going to be Udonis Haslem, so I think it's going to be Kelly Olynyk. I expect him to get a good chunk of minutes this game. Chris Middleton's one. If this is again only if Brook Lopez misses, he gets a 3% usage bump with Brook Lopez off the floor. So I think Chris Middleton is good there. Otherwise, I'm really not interested in anyone on Milwaukee. It's just a tough matchup for the Bucks, and like Miami's had their number this year. Honestly, they've been playing really great defense on them. DeAndre Ayton at 7,200 is simply too cheap. I don't know why DeAndre Ayton is 7,200. Whoever's making the DraftKings salary just flat out disrespect to DeAndre Ayton. He is not a 7,200 player. He's been playing the upper 30 minutes when he's not in foul trouble as well. He does draw a tough matchup today against Indiana as a whole, but also against Miles Turner. It is a slightly positive matchup, but against bigs, but I mean, that's not just Miles Turner. I mean, it's also Sabonis this year. Now you're only going to get Miles Turner on DeAndre Ayton the whole game. It's going to be a pace down spot for Phoenix. Like, it's not a good spot for the Phoenix Suns overall, but yeah, DeAndre Ayton, I think it's just way too cheap. But if DeAndre Ayton I can see someone getting chalky, I'm going to be off him. Like yesterday, everyone was on Nikola Vucevic because he was too cheap. But he's playing against Marcus Gasol and Serge Ibaka, two of the best defensive centers in the league, and he didn't do good. So, but this isn't. Miles Turner is not as good as defense as Marcus Gasol, but Ayton is a good play. I think he's going to be chalky, to be honest, and we'll be interested. I'll be interested to see how my ownership comes in on him based on his chalk today. Cameron Johnson, honestly, looking at it more now, I'm really not as interested in him. He's too expensive. Like Cameron Johnson's playing upper 30 minutes. I mean, he played like 39 last game, but 4,900 against Indiana for someone who's such a low producer on offense or in fantasy sports. It's not someone I'm really as excited to go to as I was when I made my early interest, but I think he's okay if you're just looking to get someone in there. He's not going to be highly owned. And then finally got the Portland Trailblazers, where I'm still interested in Damian Lillard at 9,700. This isn't a good matchup for Lillard, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is, but Damian Lillard's been playing 40 minutes a game. Like, that's insane. Like, 40 minutes a game is absolutely ridiculous, and I say it every game, Damian Lillard's trying to carry the Portland Trailblazers into the playoffs. That's what he's here to do. He does have a negative matchup against point guards and pace down spot for Damian Lillard, but I don't really care. He's going to play 40 to 44 minutes today, and he needs to go off for them. I mean, he just needs to keep producing for them to do something. I mean, maybe he doesn't need to produce as much as he did earlier this year because Nurkic is back and Collins is back, but he still needs to produce. And at 9,700 for 42 minutes, I'm willing to take that upside. Not someone I'm going to lock in a ton of lineups. He's not going to be too highly owned today, I don't think, but he is still a good matchup. Yusuf Nurkic, 8,900, I'm willing to go back to again. I mean, he's been playing in the upper 30. He's playing 30 minutes a game. I have him right now projected for exactly 30, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 35. He would have gotten a ton more against Houston if he didn't foul 3 times in 20 seconds. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know how he did that. But he does draw a positive matchup against centers. It's not a lot. It's a 1 point more than average for Yusuf Nurkic, but that's still a positive matchup, and that's someone I want to look to. I mean, Yusuf Nurkic is a good player. Very good player. You heard me say it earlier. I think a top 7 center, and if you wanted to call him a top 5 center, I would not be complaining. Yusuf Nurkic is very, very good, and he's looked absolutely fantastic. I don't hate going back to him again today. He's been literally, I think, been in the winning lineup like every single time he's played so far since they've been back. So we'll see if that happens again. Not someone I'm going to go too overboard on, but someone I do have interest in. And then finally, my favorite player in the NBA now, Gary Trent Jr. I absolutely love this guy. I love his hustle, love his game, love his hair. Everything's fantastic about Gary Trent Jr. $4,400 on DraftKings. He's playing in the upper 30 minutes. I mean, he plays over 30 minutes every single game now. He's an integral part of the team. He comes off the bench. He finishes the games, which is why I continue to say don't play Zach Collins every day, because Zach Collins is never in the finishing lineup. And that's really what you want, because that's going to give you extra minutes if the game is close, if they're going to be in the finishing lineup. And Gary Trent Jr. is always in the finishing lineup. It's Lillard, McCollum, Nurkic, Trent, and Carmelo Anthony. Those are the guys who are finishing this game out for him, and he's just so cheap at $4,400. If he gets hopping the three-point line again, which he's been all year, he's going to be a good play. Maybe not hit a huge ceiling, but a good cash play, honestly, probably. So I do like Gary Trent Jr. But those are all the plays I have for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope you guys make some money tonight. Make sure before you leave to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let me know how this video was. Let me know how you guys have been doing. If you guys make some money tonight, make sure to leave a comment on here or on Twitter or something. Let me know how you guys did, because I want to hear how you guys are doing with my research. All that stuff really helps me out. Subscribe to the Patreon. Follow me on social media. I think that's all I got. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.